days?
Well, yesterday he announced a new flurry of executive orders. The first to be mentioned is crypto, because he's decided to make the United States, what he said, the crypto capital of the world. So let's have a look at the announcement.
And this, David, is?
Yeah, this is the crypto EO. We're going to be forming an internal working group to make to make America the world capital in crypto under your leadership.
Which is really going up, right?
Absolutely.
All right, David, that's for you.
Thanks, sir.
You find them exciting? They might not be exciting, but we're going to make a lot of money for the country.
Okay, so it's going to make a lot of money for the country. We'll come on to why that might be in a second. This follows the executive order releasing the Silk Road founder, Ross Ulbricht, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yep.
Ulbricht was convicted in 2015 of involvement in narcotics and money laundering. That's how it was described anyway. He was sentenced to life in prison, and this was because the claim was, or the allegation was, that the conviction was based on the idea that he had been selling illegal drugs in return for Bitcoin, as well as selling hacking equipment and stolen passports. And the prosecutors also claimed that he had organized 6 murders for hire, including one against a former Silk Road employee, although they did then acknowledge that no evidence existed that any killings were actually carried out. So Ulbricht was unsurprisingly pretty ecstatic to be released, and he posted his comments on X. Here's a short excerpt of what he had to say.
Last night, Donald Trump granted me a full pardon. I was doing life without parole, and I was locked up for more than 11 years. But he let me out. I'm a free man now. So let it be known that Donald Trump is a man of his word.
Well, we'll see whether he is on a broad scale. But do you think there's a connection between this Bitcoin executive order and the executive order to release Ulbricht?
There's definitely a connection, because Ross Ulbricht held, I don't know how much, a lot of Bitcoin, well in excess of $1 billion. I'm probably underestimating that massively. And that was meant to be auctioned off. And so the Bitcoin is still in escrow. That's my understanding of it. But will that end up being in the strategic reserves in the U.S. Treasury of Donald Trump's new Bitcoin hedge or strategic reserve? So that's a question that's unknown. So it was seized. I think that was seized, but he's been collecting Bitcoin since 2012 or 13 or whatever, since the beginning, or 2010. So he has a huge, arguably one of the biggest Bitcoin fortunes in the world, but it's not his anymore. It's in the custody of the U.S. government. So that's
so he's been released, but he may not be getting that back.
I can't see him getting it back, but it might be favors in kind. But it's a huge case, because it's really about, are you guilty for everything that illegal that goes on your platform?
Right.
Or are you just a facilitator? They shut him down, but they weren't happy with just shutting him down. They wanted to destroy him personally and make an example out of him. So this is reversed part of that story. And so that's, I think, a huge thing. And all the libertarians and people are going wild celebrating right now. What a great victory for justice this is.
Okay, well, another executive order that was signed yesterday was for the declassification of files relating to John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. Or at least were they? Because, in fact, what has actually been organized is that the security services in the US have 15 days to come up with a plan for releasing those documents. So the executive order itself doesn't actually guarantee the declassification of the files that it'll actually be, or that the files will actually be made public. What do you think of the prospects? And actually, is there anything there, do you think, that's going to, I mean, we'll talk to Mark about this in Extra, but is there anything there that's going to be a surprise to anybody?
I'd be surprised if there was any surprises in there, but 98% of the JFK files have been released or declassified or kind of available to the public, albeit redacted. So that what's that final 2%? What's in there? And how much of that's going to be redacted or shredded? Is that the plan they need time to execute? Is what, how to get rid of embarrassing evidence there. So I think it's great for transparency, but a lot of people are just really anxious to see if there's going to be anything in there, and who knows, implicating perhaps, Daddy Bush more, or Israel involved or something, who knows. But will we see any of that through the redaction, the black strips? I don't know.
Yes, we have another little bit of video of him signing that, and I want to break that into extra because I want to discuss what he says at the very end of that. So we'll keep that for extra. But let me welcome Mark to the program.